So this slide shows the average annual change in household resources as a percentage of current law income after transfers and taxes. And it shows that this bill resoundingly benefits the upper class and it does not help the lower class at all. And on a relative basis, that means they're worse off. The next chart shows Broadway attendance on a weekly basis, and we're at record levels. And this is where the Trump administration is really messing up, in my opinion. Is Bessent went on the Tucker or the All In podcast, citing how we're at the record levels of American vacations into Europe and record levels of food bank utilization. And this is the same thing: record weekly Broadway attendance and record number of Americans who can't afford a $2,000 emergency, over 50%. And so what the Biden and Yellen admin did very creatively was they opened the borders, crushed low and middle income wages, and with it inflation. And that brought inflation down, allowed more easing, allowed asset prices to stay elevated, and completely killed the lower and middle income class. They kept rates high at the front end and yield curve control the back end. So everybody, low income and small businesses who borrow on the front end, screwed; back end, large corporates, rich, benefit. And they prolonged that. And they got the public and the whole left to think that this was all because they're so kind and loving, and immigration, open borders is what you do for the right, good of the people. And meanwhile, so like anytime I would point these statistics out, which is now becoming clear in the labor data, I would be labeled like a racist and all these things, which I'm for immigration, but the data is resoundingly bad.
You're racist.
Yeah. The data is resoundingly bad for the lower income. These are the jobs that people are coming in. And then you had the Trump administration coming in earlier this year saying all the things that people wanted to hear. We're going to help Main Street. And then here they come with this insane bill that is extremely unequal and not helping Main Street. And on top of that, Yellenomics controlling the long end of the curve and not letting it release. And then also, like, this is the exact problem: pumping asset prices to dampen vol and everything else. Like, and Jem Carson talks about this a lot, where behind the scenes, no one really understands this, but the ramifications exacerbate wealth inequality and is not going to end well for their administration.
Yeah.
And
look at this tweet. It just spells it out. For all cost-cutting Republicans, of which I am one, remember, you still have to get reelected. Don't go too crazy. We will make it all up times 10 with growth more than ever before. Like, this is literally the plan. Like,
it's a complete sham.
Yeah.
It's complete. It's honestly, like, I'm going to be so shocked if I doubt they're not going to get reelected. There's no way. I mean, the impacts of this bill and Yellenomics that Bessent is continuing to deploy, it just insanely exacerbate the wealth inequality and problem that they were elected to fix. And that's what it's going to boil down to in a few years.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be Yellenomics on steroids. Like, I'll just quickly say this, and I'll pass it to you. But so when you're talking about it, this is what's going to happen. Look, it says Treasury Secretary Scott Bass indicated it wouldn't make sense for the government to ramp up sales of longer-term securities given where yields are today. Bessent last year repeatedly criticized then Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen for relying more on short-term treasuries in issuance. And as always, Shrub, who quick alpha for the chat, we're actually going to have Shrub join us next week. Going to be a ton of fun. But he always has great memes you can see on the right here where, Yellen walks so that Bessent and Trump could run. And that's really the situation.